I've been thinking about alternatives to homelessness. I told you I would. And I figured I needed to just because I kind of went off on a little bit of a rant last time, if you'll recall. I said that we needed to have somebody in the halls of power with enough political backbone to pass an ordinance that was just ironclad and would be rigorously enforced that said you can't pitch a tent or a temporary structure anywhere in the city of Portland. You just can't do it. And if you do, we'll do with that exactly what we do if somebody parks their car in the wrong place. We're going to haul it away. What's more, we're not going to hang on to your stuff for you. We're not a public storage unit. We're a city. We don't have room for it. The fact is, you just can't do that kind of stuff here. Now, it didn't take you long to figure out that there's a big hole in that plan, namely that even if you pick things up and throw them away sooner or later, doesn't matter, you've still got people without a roof over their heads, and they're going to have to go down the street and do exactly what they've been doing. And so that's what got me to thinking, we need some kind of alternative. We can't just herd them around like so many cattle. That's not even humane. And as a city, we're better than that. We may not be perfect, but we can probably come up with something better than just continuing to do what we're doing. Now, the plan that everybody's trying to come up with right now is, where do we find affordable housing? We need affordable housing. I agree with that. We do. Terrific. Perfect. Great idea. But my question is this. If you're making $212 a month panhandling on the freeway on-ramp, how much is affordable? If my calculations are correct, it's probably pretty close to being free. And so where are we going to find this free housing? Moreover, how long is it going to take before we can build affordable housing? And how many people are going to die on the streets during the cold winter months while we try to get those things up? No, I think we're setting our sights just a little too high, and the problem is just a little too urgent for us to come up with a solution called affordable housing, whatever that might mean to you. I think we're going to have to set our sights a little lower. I think we're going to have to find something that's maybe just a step up from where we are. What I think we need is before we start enforcing this rigid ironclad law or regulation against pitching temporary shelters in the city, before we do that, we're going to have to start stockpiling mats. We need a lot of mats. And I'm not talking about doormats, although that's kind of how we're treating the homeless right now. I'm not talking about yoga mats, placemats, wrestling mats. I'm talking about minimally adequate transitional shelters, mats. Essentially, a hard-walled tent made of plywood and whatever structure is necessary, placed in designated areas, which each area outfitted with a porta potty, a garbage can, and a sharps container because, it's probably going to be needed. Now, I know there's a lot of problems with this, but I would like to ask you to apply a standard that we used to use in high school and college debate. When the affirmative team would suggest a solution to a problem, a solution to the proposition, they would suggest a plan that was not perfect, but comparatively advantageous. It's not a great idea, but it's better than what we've got now. And if we apply that standard, we might be able to provide mats, minimally adequate transitional shelters for our homeless population. A half step up off the street, almost literally, and made for people who are without any other place to go. Now, what I'm thinking about is, like I said, a hard-walled tent. You might imagine those portable on-demand storage units that show up, in various neighborhoods. A guy on a flatbed truck from a company, actually called Pods, I guess, and others as well, U-Haul. And then they bring this kind of enclosure, this box, and they unload it with a forklift. They put it down on the ground or in somebody's driveway. They load it up, and then the forklift returns a few days later, puts it up on the flatbed truck, and hauls it away. What would happen if we had enough small, minimally adequate transitional shelters that could be moved around in just that way? I have a friend who tells me that a structure that could sleep 2, maybe 3 people could be built for something like, well, $1,000. Okay, now I want to talk more about that, but first I need to do some thinking. Fact is, this is probably a bad plan, but remember the standard. Maybe it's better than anything we've got right now. I'll get back to you with some of the details. So, in the meantime, I got some thinking to do.